Hello and welcome to another PowerShell for Beginners video. This is number 5, where we're going to talk about the switch statement, why and when to use that. And we're also going to expand a little bit and talk to the continue, break, and return statements that you can use inside of your loops or inside of your scripts to terminate or get them to move on and kind of just get them to skip over things. So let me walk through the switch statement first. So switch is kind of probably the simplified version of what a lot of people use the if else statement for. So let's just say we had this array of 1 through 9, and we're just going to get one of those random numbers 1 through 9. So we're just going to call it n. So n equals 4 right now. So let's say we wanted to round based on whatever this number was. 1 through 4 will round down, 5 through 9 will round up. So in an if-else statement, what that looks like is, if, let's say n is, 1, or say if 1 through 4 contains n, then we'll round down, else if 5 through 9 contains n, and we're going to round up. And let's just say else for good measure, do nothing. So I run this, tells us to round down, which is right. We know on a 4 we round down. So that's perfectly fine. So this is a legitimate way to write this. However, what has to happen here is that it's going to take this statement and it's going to say, is this true? Yes, okay, I'm going to do this and ignore the rest of this. Is this false? Okay, this is false. Then now I'm going to process this statement. And while you may be thinking, okay, this is simple, it's really easy to write this, this can get very convoluted in large scripts with a lot of data, especially if you only want to do something simple like act based on a value. So all these statements are going to get processed, and at the end, it's going to run this default statement, but every one of these is going to have to be evaluated. And then this true or false is going to be kept in memory. So it's going to know that right now through this iteration, true, next iteration, false. But all these statements are going to continue to exist. So this is fine, again, for something like this, which is very simple, very lightweight. I'm going to write this out long-windedly first so you guys can see. And then we'll write it the correct way, similar to the if-else statement that we just did. Actually, I'm not. I'm just going to write it easy so you guys can see it. I will write 2 different ways though. So obviously we know that our number for n is 4. So I'm just going to write this. So a switch statement is just this. So I like putting in these snippets so you can see it. So we actually know that our evaluation is going to happen based on n. And here's a condition. And for that condition, we do something. So let's just say our condition happens to be 4, and we know for 4 we round down. Default, let's just say, I'm actually just going to put in continue because it doesn't matter. So like this, it says round down. If I add in, let's just say a 9 here, round up, it's still just going to process the exact same way. So this is perfectly fine. This is a good way to look at this. You can just have the value of what you expect this to be. Let's say I expected this to be someone's first name or something, whatever it was. I can just have that here, like let's say Billy, and then have it do something, whatever it is. So let's undo this, and I will leave this here. The simplified way to write this statement is actually with a kind of our own contain statement saying if it's something between something, let's do it. And I want to show you guys this because this is another or one rare case outside of the pipeline, which I explicitly told you is the only time you can use $underscore, you can actually use $underscore. So let's write our switch statement. So let's say n, and our condition is going to be contained within a script block as well. So let's say that if $underscore is less than or equal to 4, we are going to say round down and say that our number is whatever so we can see it. And let's say that if it is greater than or equal to 5, and round up and also put it in so we can see it. And if it's anything else, we just want to see n in any case. So obviously we know that our number is 4 right now. So it says round down, our number is 4. Let's get another random number, see what it is. Number is 2. Let's run this again. Round down 2. Get another one. Happens to be the exact same number. Round up 7. So there we go. So this is very lightweight. It says, what is this? And now it's just going to run these comparison operators and stop. First time it gets to 1, it's not going to look at any others. It's not going to return them. And now I want to explain at least the break portion. So we can add this semicolon and say break after each statement. And what that is going to tell this switch statement to do is as soon as it gets to one of these, it is going to break out of this session that it is in and just stop what it's doing completely. It's just going to say, okay, I'm done. I've come to my conclusion. Moving on. And that is break in a nutshell. We're going to look at this. I do have some code that I have already written to show you. So let me pull that up. We're going to paste that down here. We will walk through it. Whoops, not the right one. I apologize. There we go. Okay, so we have two different number arrays here. We have 1 through 10, and then we have 1 through 5 and 7 through 10 combined here. So this one is actually going to exclude 6. We're going to run on this first one first, so let me comment this out. So what this first one is saying is that this contains all the numbers 1 through 10. You guys have seen this in other scripts before. So for each number in that number array, 1 through 10, if it is 1 through 5, then we're just going to continue. It's just going to move on through the next iteration of the loop. So if it's 1 through 5, it's going to say, okay, that was a 1, next. And it's just going to go to the next number. It's not going to process any of this. It is also not going to process this. I will explain why here in a second. Then if it ever gets to 6, what it's going to do is return n. And this only happens in this one instance of the script because this actually contains 6. So we're going to run this. And it will return n, and it will also not get this far. And then finally, we have this second number array, which we will run after the first. And if this statement, if we're on number 7 through 10, it's going to break. So what's going to happen is I'm going to run it against 1 through 10, and it's going to get through all these numbers, 1 through 5, and it's going to just move on to the next number. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then finally, it's going to get to this number 6, and it's going to return the number 6 to our console so we can see it, and it's going to stop. It is going to kick itself out of this for each loop. So let's run this. Actually, let's load up the number array and now run this, and it returns 6. It does not continue to process, even though we've told it we're running this for every number in the number array, and we know that the number array contains all 10 numbers. So it kicks you completely out of the script, while 1 through 5, it just tells it to move on to the next number for continue. So that is return. It just kicks you out of this for each loop and stops. It just lets you get something back and be done. Break, on the other hand, so let's comment this one out and run all of this. So right now, in should equal 7. In does equal 7. What happened was that it came down here and got to 7 and it said break. And that just means break out of this. Something is, we either hit something that we expected or we accounted for and don't want to deal with. It just means get out. Just get out of the script. We're done. Don't keep running it. Whereas return n, we can do something based on this value. This lets us actually act on this value. So I can actually say, you know, 7 equals, and then run it on this first array. Run that and highlight all this. And now, oh, sorry, I guess it's 6. So this 7 variable is actually going to be the number 6. It should have still, I don't know. I don't know what maybe if I ran it as a function, it would save it, but it should have still returned the value and saved it completely, rather than just returning it to console. So not sure what I did wrong, but moving on. So the second number array actually breaks it out of the script. As you can see, none of these ever let it get this far because there's a condition that returns or breaks. If I just do continue, then it'll get all the way to the end. So let's just say continue, and let's go ahead and at the end here, let's just print whatever n is and continue, and let's run it on this first one. N is 10. It never actually accomplished this code because every single number that it came to, it said go to the next number. So if I write in that our array contains the number 11, now it got that far. So it got to the number 11. None of these continue statements to move on to the next iteration were true. So it finally ran completely and let it continue running the rest of the for each loop. And now it got far enough to say, I got this far, and here's where I got this far, at number 11. So continue tells it move on to the next, break tells it to get completely out, and return lets it get out, but also give you something back. So it doesn't just entirely end your code. Exit works similar to break, except that it does not return to the caller scope, which you'll learn about hopefully if you ever decide to expand your knowledge in this realm. I don't suggest you spend too much time in it. It is not that serious once you kind of understand the little bit of limitations for continue, break, and return, then you should be okay. So with that, I'm going to end this video just under 15 minutes, which is perfectly fine. And hopefully you have learned something useful. In the next video, we're going to cover back to some writing our own scripts. So we're going to use a lot of these fundamentals that we've covered and just build on what we've learned so we can continue to find reasonable and practical ways to apply our knowledge. All right. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.